My boss embarrassed me at a big client conference, so I embarrassed him back. That one line sums up the most satisfying moment of my professional life. I still remember the heat in my face as I stood frozen on that stage, humiliated, helpless, while everyone laughed. My boss, Daniel Reed, had just destroyed my credibility in front of 100 industry leaders. What he didn't know was that he'd just created the man who would end his career. I'm Ethan Ward, a 32-year-old project strategist from London, working at a top-tier corporate consultancy firm. I joined with ambition, passion, and a belief that hard work always wins. That illusion broke the day I met Daniel, my boss. Daniel was charismatic on the surface, sharp suits, loud laugh, all confidence and no conscience. He was the kind of man who took credit for everyone's work and got promoted for it. I learned quickly that surviving under him meant staying silent. But I wasn't built for silence. For months, I created presentations, developed strategies, and built client relationships all under his name. Every success had his signature, every mistake had mine. It all started at the Global Business Strategy Conference in London, a massive annual event where our company presented to potential investors and high-profile clients. I had spent 6 sleepless weeks preparing our segment, a complex data-driven market analysis that could win us a multi-million-pound contract. On the morning of the presentation, Daniel stopped me backstage. "You'll handle the tech slides," he said. "I'll do the talking." I froze. It was my work, every chart, every projection, every conclusion. "Daniel, I think it would mean a lot to the clients if I..." He smirked. "You'll do what I say, Ethan." So, I did, and as I stood beside him, managing the slides, he took full credit for every idea I'd built. Then came the final question from the client. Who developed the core strategy behind this model? Daniel turned to me, chuckled, and said, "Oh, Ethan, he just handles the visuals." The audience laughed. My body went cold. That single comment stripped away years of effort, dignity, and trust. I smiled through it, but inside, something snapped. A week later, Daniel was showered with praise from management for his presentation brilliance. But I noticed something odd. The clients had follow-up questions Daniel couldn't answer. He'd never actually read the deeper model analysis, he only memorized what looked impressive. That's when I realized his intelligence was a facade. He was skating on the edge of exposure, and I was the only one who knew how fragile his illusion was. So I started taking notes. Every time Daniel lied to clients, I saved copies of the emails, meeting summaries, even voice memos from our briefings. My digital folder grew hundreds of files labeled Reed's Lies. 3 months later, another conference came around, the European Strategic Innovation Summit in Berlin. Daniel was chosen again to represent the firm. That's when I decided it was time. I offered to help him prepare his slides again. He loved that. He didn't realize I was embedding small, very real data files into the deck, ones that contradicted his false claims from previous pitches. His graphs showed fake growth projections, mine showed the truth data pulled from the company's internal reports. I disguised the slides perfectly. They looked identical. But one click too far during his talk, and the truth would unfold in front of everyone. A week before the conference, I made sure Daniel sent the final presentation to the event organizers himself. That ensured that the version with my edits was the one uploaded. Meanwhile, I quietly informed HR anonymously that discrepancies existed in his client reports. I didn't accuse him directly, I simply pointed out inconsistencies that could harm the company's reputation. It was the perfect double-edged sword. When the truth came out publicly, HR would already have the background to act fast. Berlin. Thousands of professionals. Cameras flashing, clients seated in the front row. Daniel walked on stage, smug and radiant, as if the world belonged to him. I stood backstage, pretending to assist the AV team, my heart racing with adrenaline. He started strong, charismatic, confident, cocky. "Our company has seen 47% growth this quarter thanks to our cutting-edge strategies," he boasted. I watched as the fake slides rolled by. Then, he clicked one slide too far. The screen changed. The graph plummeted. The title read, Actual Performance Metrics, Internal Audit Q3. For a few seconds, silence. Confusion rippled through the audience. He blinked, froze, and then stammered, That's not the right." Too late. The next slide autoplayed. Screenshots of falsified client reports, budget discrepancies, notes marked presentation manipulation. The murmurs turned into gasps. Someone shouted, "Are these real?" Daniel's face went pale. He fumbled with the remote, but the AV technician, who had no clue what was happening, kept clicking forward. Slide after slide, proof after proof. His lies were now projected across a 20-foot LED screen. Cameras captured everything. His boss, the regional director, stood up mid-row. "Daniel, what the hell is this?" Daniel stumbled, sweat dripping. I didn't, this isn't my. I stepped out quietly from the side of the stage, pretending to fix the projector. Our eyes met. He knew. He knew. And I smiled. By the time we got back to London, Daniel's career was in free fall. HR launched a full-scale investigation, using the same data trail I'd collected for months. His fraudulent reporting was undeniable. Clients demanded answers. The board suspended him immediately. The news spread fast. Company executive caught in data fraud during international conference. The irony, the very man who mocked me for being just a visual guy was undone by a few visuals he didn't understand. Daniel was terminated within weeks. The company issued public apologies to clients and quietly offered me a promotion, senior data strategist, effective immediately. I declined the first offer, then negotiated my worth properly. This time, they paid me for my silence. I didn't brag, I didn't post, I simply packed up my desk, looked at Daniel's empty office, and walked out with a smile. Revenge doesn't always need noise. Sometimes, it's a quiet, calculated humiliation that leaves the biggest scar. Daniel taught me how cruel public embarrassment could be. I just returned the favor with precision. He used the spotlight to shame me once. I used it to end him. And that's the story of how one click, one truth, and one perfectly timed moment turned his stage into my justice.
Thank you for being here. If you enjoyed this, go watch the one on the left and don't forget to hit like and subscribe to the channel for more tales of triumph over injustice and a saga of ultimate revenge.